It turns out Lou was playing checkers and the monsters were playing chess. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment here to review Season 1, Episode 2 of From. This one is called The Way Things Are Now. And I guess that episode title would refer to basically the way the life is now for the residents of this town.
You're goddamn right, that's what it means, because there's no escaping, and this is your new reality, your new house, your new home.
Yes, and we really enjoyed the premiere, and we start episode 2 with, I guess these are like flash forwards, and I remember The Walking Dead did these, like when The Walking Dead was in its prime, when it would foreshadow stuff at the beginning of episodes.
Yes, and we've seen it, Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. A lot of Breaking Bad, actually, like Walter would be like the swimming pool, Walter would be counting money, or we'd see a teddy bear, Walking Dead, Shane's headbutting stuff, shaving his dome, Rick, he's got blood dripping, and then it would cut back to the normal time, the present time. And I like the incorporation of this.
I like it. I think as long as it's not done too much, as long as it's not done too often, I think things like this can work. But then we get the intro of the show, and I don't feel like we need the intro every single episode, because the intro is about 2 minutes long, and it's just like, I mean, surely in future episodes, you can shorten the intro a little bit, so we're not having to sit through the intro. I mean, I know that's not really a complaint for the episode, because it's got nothing to do with the episode, but still, I would prefer if that didn't happen. But yeah, in the flash forward, we see Kenny. He's got a big axe, and he is cutting down trees. And then we pick up where we left off from the last episode with the group on foot after their vehicle ran over the spike strips. They then have to make their way to the colony house. The rain's pouring down, it's nightfall, they're panicking, they're dreading. Are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? Are the doors going to be open for them? Are the doors not going to get open for them? We then get Jade, who's the guy that is like the drunk guy, the drugged up guy.
The junkie.
He falls and cracks his head, and for a moment you felt like they were going to leave him behind, but the father, Katri, and Ellis come back and save him, and they help lift him up. They get to the front doors of the colony. There's people inside the colony, and they're like, look, Ellis is out there, let him in. But there's another guy standing at the door, guarding the door with a shotgun, and he's like, those aren't our people. I'm not opening the door. Outside, we have Ellis and, the Matthews family banging on the door, wanting to get in. We then see some of the monsters appear from like the other side of the balcony. They're closing in. One of them calls Julie by name. I don't know if they can like represent like figures that might be in the other person's personal life. I'm not too sure if that's true or not.
It must be, because I think when you see with some of the reactions, it's as if they do know them. Or maybe it's just someone hearing their name going, how do they know my name? Who is that?
Could be that. But then Kenny steps in front of Julie and starts shooting at the figures. It doesn't really do anything, so I guess this is pretty true that bullets don't really do much.
It just slows them down.
Yeah, it could be a case of bullets just slow down the monsters. Then eventually Donna drags her big fat ass down the stairs, and she tells the guy to let them in. She's like, look, I know you're scared, but we got to let these people in. We can't let them die. Then they do get allowed in. They all rush through the door, but as soon as they're in, Donna has the shotgun, and she's pointing it at them, and she's telling Tabitha, she's telling Julie, and she's telling, well, the other guy's knocked out, so she ain't really telling him anything.
He's sparked it. Good
but
night.
She's telling them to get down. Ellis thinks, like, you don't need, Ellis thinks this is a little bit too far. Kenny's like, can't believe that they're, holding them at gunpoint, but she wants them tied up because she doesn't trust them, and she says, look, this is what we do with everybody. This is the precautions we take. So, I mean, they get to the colony house, but they weren't exactly treated with like a hero's welcome. In fact, they were tied up with rope and separated. So
I get that, but at least they were let in, and knowing this world, I don't actually blame these precautions. But I guess these monsters, could they really go to this extent where they infiltrate these houses and pretend that they're human till everything's alright and then just annihilate them all?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, these people, you don't. If you do not tie them up, if you do not separate them, like literally, what is stopping from like Julie or Tabitha literally trying to make a run for the door?
Exactly.
To try and escape.
It's the biggest problem.
And then all the monsters are in, and then before you know it, everybody in the colony house is dead. We then go back to the RV where they try and stabilize Ethan. We can hear noises. They're saying, let us in. There's knocking on the doors. And they says, we can help you. We can help save the boy. And Jim's like, oh, you're not gonna. They came back for us. You're not gonna let them in. And Boyd's like, no,
Nope.
I'm not gonna do that. And then Jim's like, well, if you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Jim tries to get to the front door of the RV, but Boyd's not having it. And I mean, this was like a little bit of a tussle, but Boyd literally took care of Jim with no problem and placed him in a chokehold. And went, "Are you good, Jim?"
I know. Just grabs him.
And then,
"You good, big man?"
And then Jim was like, "Yeah, I'm good." Then Boyd like pushes him away, and Jim mutters something to Boyd. Who knows what he said? Is that a fairy fid? What did Jim say
What
about
did
Boyd?
Jim say? Hopefully it was nice and not beginning with end.
Definitely not. That wouldn't be a very nice thing to say. So
as if he said, I probably opened the fucking door.
So then we get Kristi, who continues to work on Ethan. Jim asks Boyd more questions about what are these things. If they're not people, then what are they? And Boyd's like, we don't know. We don't know. But he does kind of explain that what the surroundings in the woods are, and like what these things are capable of. And basically, Donna does the same thing. Back at the colony house, Donna explains when she first arrived there with her sister, they weren't as lucky as the Matthews family because they arrived at night where they didn't have any of the local people to help them. And eventually her sister was killed and tortured, and basically, yeah.
Sounds like the most brutal death.
Her face was ripped off and tortured the entire night. Donna had to run and hide from them.
She ran.
Yeah, she attempted to run.
She says it was only 3 years ago.
That's how long she's been here, aye.
Aye, so she has to put a bit of fucking weight on.
Yeah, so basically, like, we understand that the surrounding woods are full of intelligent, shape-shifting creatures that, like, hunt and kill for sport. So, you know, it's not like mindless zombies that just want to bite and, you know, eat flesh.
No.
I mean, these are creatures that, like, seem to enjoy killing and almost, like, get a kick out of it. And they can shapeshift. As we've seen in episode 1 when the creature was, like, pretending to be an old woman, or maybe she is an old woman, but she, like, transforms into something else with, like, crazy sharp teeth. So we're still unsure of what these creatures are, but we know they're not to be messed with and they're not good, and you certainly do not want to be outside without a talisman at night.
I would say this: what would happen if it's like one of these creatures against 50 people? I would be interested to see that.
Maybe they've got, like, superhuman strength.
I would say that. I mean, they rip people's... But when she opened that window that night, like, maybe more than one got in. We don't really know what happened. Like, the kid in episode 1. But I'd be interested to see what... Because I think eventually in this show, it's going to come to a point where there's going to be a conflict. It can't all be hiding and running.
Do you think maybe they've got the ability to, like... well, they can shapeshift? Do you think maybe they've got the ability, like the T-1000? You can have a hold of them, and then they can just, like, transform and all of a sudden be out your graps?
Maybe, aye.
Could it be something similar to that? We don't really know. Back in the RV, Jim is asking more about, like, how do you stay safe and the talisman, and Boyd's explaining, look, we have these in the houses, that's what keep everyone safe. As long as we've never tried it on a vehicle, but we think it's going to be okay as long as we keep this and we don't let them in, then they can't get in. Which does make sense. Jim points out, they come back and they're, like, jumping on top of the RV, trying to get in. I think, not trying to get in, I think they're just trying to unsettle the people in the RV, hoping that maybe Jim tries to open the door, or maybe that Kristi tries to freak out and, I don't know, makes a mistake, tries to escape. Because Boyd looks like the only one that's got his shit together, really. Out of the people in the RV.
And I think that's to be expected, though.
He's
the sheriff.
In the colony house, I mean, Donna seems to be probably the toughest one in there, like, in terms of not breaking and mentally being able to handle the situation.
I could still hear her
But she is the leader of the colony house, so that's her kind of patch. You do learn that the town is, like, separated into two parts. Then we just basically keep working on Ethan. We then get Jim asks Boyd, why don't you just use your gun? And Boyd's like, your gun doesn't really work on them, which we seen earlier when Kenny shot them. I mean, it literally almost, like, slowed them down, but it didn't do anything. It certainly wouldn't stop them or kill them or, you know, halt them in their tracks. Literally, a gun might buy you time, but it's not going to save your life.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're exactly right. So, guns, maybe the only way to defeat them if you're in the same room as one of those talismen, and you whip out and they get startled.
Maybe does the talisman kind of work like a cross with vampires?
Garlic.
Who knows? We then get introduced to more characters in the colony house. We get introduced more to Ellis's girlfriend, whose name is totally passing me at the moment.
Jemitsma or something? It's something like that.
It is something like that, but I actually cannot remember, but we'll come back to that at a later date. For some reason, her name is completely passing me. We get introduced to, I think, Judy, and she's trying to steal Jade's watch, and this is weird because she's like saying, "Oh, he's so pretty," and like she wants to touch him, and she's like, Ellis, like, look, leave him alone. That watch isn't going to do you any good either. And it's like, okay, I'll just sit here and look over him and look how pretty he is. I feel like if this was the opposite way about, I feel like if a man was doing this to a woman,
yep,
it would be like really fucking creepy and you know,
it would absolutely be.
What you doing, you fucking weirdo? But I guess because it's the other way about, it is perfectly okay. We then get introduced to Victor, who wants to come and get some peaches.
It's creepy.
Julie is tied up in the kitchen at this stage, and I don't think Julie likes Victor.
Nope. No, I mean, if anyone else tied their seat and this guy approached you talking about peaches, you'd be creeped out within reason. Definitely within reason.
Yeah, I mean, he does look a little bit weird, this Victor guy.
That person, I don't know who it is, can say he's harmless, but come on.
But he did. At least he offered to share his peaches.
Just a weird bastard. I wouldn't have been eating his any peaches, man.
Well, he did.
He liked painting, though. He was drawing me pictures.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows?
Is he the OG of this world? Sounds it.
Could be. Looks like he's been here a long time. Fatima then walks in and basically kind of scares Victor away. So, like he's a cat or something. He's like, shh, shh, leave her alone. Leave the poor girl alone. She then tells Julie that Victor's harmless. He's just a little bit creepy, which I guess maybe is true. And then she says she's going to be Julie's sponsor. Julie asks what a sponsor is, and she goes, basically, I'm just going to be the one that shows you around and gets you.
It was proxy. It wasn't a sponsor, it was proxy.
Proxy, sponsor, same thing.
That proxy fool, he's a yay.
So that happens, and she shows her around the colony. Then we get Kenny arguing with Ellis. Kenny doesn't really like the way the colony people treated them when they got here. He thought it was, unfair and it wasn't necessary. But then Ellis like, well, maybe if you didn't leave the spike traps down on the road, then we wouldn't have had to come here. Kenny doesn't like this. Kenny jumps up and looks like him and Ellis are maybe ready to punch, but we've got Father there. Father Cattry's there, and he makes sure nothing happens.
The priest, how did he get there?
Well, he was always there talking to Kenny.
No, I meant like in this world.
Alright, fair enough.
He was chasing after a school bus. And
I'm not too...
I ended up blocked the path.
Not too sure. Then Ellis offers Kenny like some moonshine or something, I don't know, some sort of alcoholic beverage as a peace offering. He doesn't take it. Kenny then confides in Father Cattry about his father, and that he hopes Boyd's okay, and that he hopes... Kenny then seems worried, but Father Cattry tells him it's going to be okay. Boyd and Kristi and the others in the RV will be fine. Then Kenny talks about his father with Cattry and how he worries about his dementia and how it's a problem, but Father Cattry knows that, Kenny's a good son and he's going to look after his father. They talk about all the chess that they used to play and how he hated it, but it became something that him and his father got really close over. And now it seems to be all that they have got, now that dementia has kind of kicked in. And, his father kind of doesn't really know
he's playing checkers.
Yeah, where he's at. Now, we did mention earlier that Lou is playing checkers and the monsters are playing chess. We go back to not the hospital, the clinic. Let's call it a clinic.
The doctors.
The clinic, yeah.
The nursing station.
So we see that he is down. He gets taken to the basement. And, the nurse that's with him is like, okay, this is time for you to go to bed. They were also playing chess. She lost him at chess. She goes, I'm not very good. He goes, no, you good. Me just better.
Better.
So he's better at chess. Then he says, I'd like the dark, nightmare. And she's like, it's okay, you're going to be all right. Go to sleep. and then she puts him to sleep. Back up on the top floor of the clinic, though, we see Sarah. Toby's dead body still there with the screwdriver plunged into his neck. Lots of blood. She then is like revealed to be talking. I don't know if she's talking to voices or the voices are talking to her, or it's a bit of both.
I think she's fucking mentally ill.
But yeah, she looks crazy and she's like, I didn't want to do it. And then there's like voices talking to her, and then she's like, are you sure? Do I need to do this? Really? And then she's like, how much of it? And it's like she's talking and listening at the same time, but I guess it's voices in her head because there's no one talking to her. We don't see any ghosts. We don't see any people. It's literally just her having conversations with herself. And then she goes up and tells Toby that she's sorry and decides to cut out his tongue. And then after more talking, we see her leave. And then the nurse comes up that was looking after Lou. She makes it up to the top floor and she sees that Toby is laying there dead. Tongue cut out, in a pile of blood. It's not looking good for him. He's dead. She then turns around and she drops all her stuff. She drops her plate, she drops her trays, because she notices the front door is open and that the monsters are there in the front door.
That's
and that they
creepy.
are getting in to the clinic. So we then see her run down the stairs. She gets into the basement and locks the door behind her, and she's in the room with Lou Sr. However, they're already in the building. The talisman has not kept them out. So what's going to happen? Will they be safe or will they not? We'll find out towards the end of the episode. We then go back to the RV, and it looks like Ethan is stable now. The table leg's been pulled out of him.
I think they should have covered his mouth.
Maybe, yeah, he was screaming a lot, but again, with the fact they kind of know they're in the RV, I just don't think they can get in the RV. So I don't think it really matters how much noise you make.
Sure.
But then we see Kristi checking on him, and then she turns round to Jim, and Jim lifts the talisman off the. What is
this thing do?
It's like tied up, and he lifts it off, and he's like, so how does this work? And then we see Kristi's like, oh no, and Jim's like, and then Boyd's like, oh Jim, no. And then we see like one of the monsters come through the roof of the RV and just like dive straight onto Ethan, but then Kristi just boom wakes up, and it turns out it was a dream. She looks around and the talisman's still in the door. Boyd tells her that it's okay, they made it, it's morning, and that everyone is going to be okay. We then get the car pulling up, and it's the rest of the Matthews family alongside Fowler Cattry and Kenny, and it looks like everyone made it safe. Everyone survived the night, or so we think.
Because guess what? Nobody can be safe in this world. Lou, he was playing chess. He fought the whole time. Turns out he's playing checkers.
So the car arrives back into the town, and Kenny notices that the door to the clinic is wide open. He runs down, and we see the nurse that was looking after his father. She's like just literally laying on the floor,
Gutless.
Just
I actually thought these two were still going to be alive.
Just completely torn apart. He's then going to go into the basement room where his father is, but Fowler Cattry says, no, Kenny, you don't have to do this anymore, because earlier Kenny was telling Fowler Cattry that he can't do it, he can't see any more dead bodies, he can't be the one. I feel like it's always Kenny and Boyd that have to be the ones that
deal with it.
Yeah, so he's like, I can't do this anymore. Fowler Cattry says, it's okay, Kenny, I'll go first. But then Fowler Cattry kind of just goes to the end of the line. It was like...
And he's third in. Uno reversed.
Uno reversed. They said he was going to go in first, so Kenny didn't need to be first to see it, but then he ended up going in last, and they go in...
But see, in this situation, right, Kenny's not going to turn around like in dialogue and be like, well, you go in first then. It's more of a, you do it, rather than... He gives you the permission to do it.
Yeah.
He didn't.
So then we see him go in. His father's just laying there again, gutless, torn apart.
Legs.
Yeah, not much left of him apart from like upper torso. And then Kenny just hugs his father, confides in his father. Well,
He doesn't confide in.
he just hugs him tight and cries. I don't know. I felt bad for Kenny here. I know we've only known him 2 episodes, but
I'm surprised this happened in episode 2. I feel like they might have.
I mean, you walk in and you do feel bad for Kenny, and then we arrive at the scene from like the beginning of the episode where we see him cutting trees. He's still cutting down trees. He's chopping trees. He's got blood all over his face. Boyd approaches him. He's like, "What you doing out here?" Kenny then tells him that he needs more wood for the chessboards because the chess is now stained in blood. Obviously, due to the fact that You know, it's probably the blood of his father that was everywhere.
Exactly.
Boyd is then trying to comfort Kenny, but Kenny reveals to Boyd that when he used to play his father at chess, his father would always get him down to one piece, and that Kenny would only have one piece remaining on the board, and he would have to always circle around in the same three spaces on the board. Then Kenny reveals how he's noticed that the monsters never run. Boyd's like, yeah, I've noticed that. And then he compares it to chess. He says it's almost like they know that sooner or later we're going to run out of places to hide, just like he would run out of places to hide with his last piece of the chessboard when playing his father. I thought that was, I liked that. I thought it was a pretty nice tie-in there. Good analogy.
Is he suggesting that eventually they'll all die? Or what's going on?
Well, yeah, pretty much Kenny thinks that, like, we're not going to survive this. We can run, we can hide, but the reason these monsters, they never run, they always walk, because they know that they've got us cornered, they know they've got us beaten, they know that sooner or later it's going to be checkmate.
Checkmate!
Then we go to, like, some sort, I don't know if this is the colony house, or if it's just, like, some sort of place, I don't know, medical place, but we see, I think it's the colony house, where we see Ethan, he's recovering on the bed with his sister. His sister is trying to cheer him up. She's using the two wee finger puppets that she killed Norman. She killed him in episode 1, but Norman's back alive, but Ethan doesn't really seem too interested. He doesn't really care about Norman. And then he looks at the window, and we see this boy in white who looks like a ghostly figure. And he continues to look at this boy in white, and the boy in white puts his finger up to his lips and tells him to shh. And that is how the episode goes off the air, with Ethan seeing a figure. He also spoke when he woke up about pictures, and he's seen drawings and stuff.
That's what the creepy guy's saying.
And that's what the creepy guy is doing. Victor, we look in his room, and he's got a shitload of drawings, childlike drawings, and he also, like, drew a picture of the car crash between the RV and the car. So, yeah, maybe this Victor guy's got the mentality of a child. Who knows? But that was the end of the episode, guys.
Maybe he likes children.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, like.
I would.
I think he likes peaches.
Aye, peaches and children.
Right, okay, that's it. End of the episode.
I'm gonna give this episode an 8.
I'm gonna get a 7. I liked it. Didn't think it was as good as the premiere, but I thought it done a good job of following up, and it's definitely a strong start, I think, to a new show. So
damn right.
Interested to see
the next one.
What happens in the next one. And yeah, already we've had 3, I would say, argue 3 pretty big deaths. Well, 5. We count the family at the beginning.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we had a death in every episode so far.
Multiple deaths.
The tally is at 5. Will we add any more in episode 3?
Probably.
We'll find out, guys. But we're going to rate this a 7.5 out of 10. We'll catch you in the next one. This has been Fog Entertainment. More Fairy Fids to come. Stay tuned to the channel, and we will see you next time out. Till then, though, peace.